Why can Mario survive in outer space in some games, but not in others? Truth be told, he shouldn't be able to survive in any of them. The final frontier. Outer space. We've seen this place in many games over the years. I can think of several off the top of my head on the Switch alone, especially in Mario games, for some reason. Don't believe me? Here are a few games where he ends up in space. Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario Galaxy, Super Mario 3D World, and Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door are only some of the examples. While they all take Mario to that frontier, they don't all treat Mario the same way. For example, the concept of low gravity we'd expect to see in space is decidedly present in Odyssey and Thousand Year Door. When Mario is on the moon in both games, his movement speed is altered, but he's able to jump higher due to lower gravity that's around the moon. We don't see this gravity change in Mario Kart and in 3D World. Then if we look at Mario Galaxy, it has a defined gravity field for most planets, resulting in it differing depending on what galaxy he's in and what planet he's on within said galaxy. Despite all these games being different from one another, they treat the concept of Mario and his friends being in space similarly enough. Everyone can exist just fine, whether they be jumping around collecting purple coins, kart racing, or fighting enemies. They can do anything they normally do on their home planet. This decidedly does not make sense for several reasons. Most would go immediately to the fact that Mario and co. can't possibly breathe in outer space due to a lack of oxygen. Sure, that's very true, but I'm more concerned about the space weather perspective. Wait, space weather? Yes, this is a real thing. I only took a whole one course regarding this during my college career. Granted, that's more than many of us meteorologists take, but still, I'm no expert in the field. I'll give you the basics as best I can while keeping it as simple as I can. Trust me when I say, space weather gets complicated quickly. So what exactly is space weather? Well, we usually talk about space weather in regard to how the sun's phenomena impacts the Earth's magnetic field, which is the physical field of a magnet, electric current, or changing electric field in which we can see magnetic forces. You might be wondering what sort of phenomena from the sun can impact Earth's magnetic field. It's likely that you've heard of the Northern Lights, or the Aurora Borealis if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, they're known as the Southern Lights, or the Aurora Australis. Usually these are visible at the north and south poles of the Earth, respectively. Part of the reason why we can see this is because of the solar wind, which is a stream of charged particles emitted from the sun's outermost layer, the corona. The solar wind, when it comes into contact with Earth's magnetic field, is visible as the aurora. Sometimes the aurora is visible at locations lower than the poles. This is usually due to a major disturbance occurring to Earth's magnetic field. These disturbances are often caused by a coronal mass ejection or a solar flare. A coronal mass ejection is a large expulsion of plasma and magnetic field that originates from the sun's atmosphere. On the other hand, a solar flare is a large explosion from the sun's surface that emits intense bursts of radiation with varying degrees of strength. These two features usually occur in tandem with sunspots, though not always. Oh, wait, you probably need to know what a sunspot is too. Don't worry, I got you. If you've ever looked at a picture of the sun and seen a spot that's significantly darker than the rest of the sun, that's a sunspot. These areas are cooler than the rest of the sun and contain really strong magnetic fields. Okay, great! So that's the absolute basics of how space weather impacts Earth. But what does this have to do with Mario? Surely this doesn't impact his travels in any way. No, of course not. That'd be ridiculous. That would be true if the sun didn't emit radiation. It already does this naturally, but it emits even more of it during space weather events, especially when it comes to solar flares. The big issue here is that solar flares emit electromagnetic radiation. Many years ago, for me, this was 8th grade science, mind you, we discussed what electromagnetic radiation is. It's the flow of energy at the speed of light through an area in the form of electric and magnetic fields that makes up electromagnetic waves. What's an electromagnetic wave? Well, there are several different types of waves that are this type of wave, including radio waves, microwaves, infrared radiation, visible light, ultraviolet radiation, X-rays, and gamma rays. If this is sounding familiar at all, it's probably because you remember the electromagnetic spectrum, which looks a little something like this. I won't go over all of this in detail because there's a lot here, but I'll give you what you need to know for the purposes of Mario and Company's survival odds in space. Firstly, radio waves, microwaves, infrared, and visible light will not harm a person since they have low wavelengths that cannot penetrate the human body, so we can ignore the first half of the spectrum. The issue comes from ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. All three types of waves are able to penetrate the human body and can cause adverse effects. Now, on Earth, we're protected from these radiation types, save for ultraviolet radiation, thanks to Earth's atmosphere, which absorbs X-rays and gamma rays before they ever have the chance to get down to the surface. The only one that makes it through is ultraviolet, but even then, it's still filtered thanks to the ozone layer. Yet, if you're anything like me, you've probably gotten used to wearing sunscreen if you were planning on being out in the sun for an extended period. This is because, while the ozone layer filters out some of this radiation, around 90% of it, in fact, it still doesn't filter all of it. There's still some that makes it through, which could cause sunburns and even result in skin cancer. Great, my favorite subject. So what does this have to do with our favorite plumber and his companions? You might be noticing the same thing I did. When Mario and company are in space, they are decidedly in space. There is nothing protecting them from the radiation that the sun emits. Well, it doesn't matter for half the spectrum. For the other half, it decidedly matters. If the human body is hit with even small amounts of harmful radiation like X-rays or gamma rays without proper protection, it could cause radiation poisoning. So imagine what would happen if they were hit with large amounts of it. Let me make it clear, our chances of survival are pretty much zero. The atmosphere is pretty much the only thing protecting us from these harmful rays. If we're in space, we need serious protective gear to protect ourselves, like a spacesuit. Now, looking at Mario and Co., well, we have a couple problems. There is no atmosphere protecting them from these rays, nor are they wearing any protective gear. If they are built anything like humans are, well, they shouldn't be able to survive in outer space. Now, if I know anything about the internet, I can see the comments already. But Sophie, this is the Mario universe. We have no evidence that Mario's universe has radiation similar to Earth's. Even if it does, Mario's planet may act differently than Earth's, so it's possible that Mario and his friends would be used to radiation like this and see no negative effects. Once upon a time, I would have agreed with you, but there's two things I can point to that tell me this universe could have similar rules to Earth. I know, for once, Mario guys are working with me on the logic end. I'm not going to get used to it, but I'll take what I can get here. Firstly, we see the aurora in a few different Mario games, which indicates that this planet Mario is on receives interruptions to its magnetic field similar to Earth. We can't get the aurora without disruptions occurring to it from the solar wind, which can only come from the sun. Two good examples of games where we see the aurora are New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which has the aurora in a few levels of the snow-covered world, as well as Vancouver Velocity in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Booster Course Pass. Both showcase the aurora, and while it's beautiful, it tells us that this planet does indeed work similarly to Earth. I can already hear the rebuke now. But Sophie, Vancouver is on Earth. They just added it because it was from Mario Kart Tour. That doesn't show anything about Mario's universe. Now that I really would have agreed with, except there was this Mario game that came out in 2017. Hence comes my second point. Mario's universe takes place on an altered version of planet Earth, and I can prove it. In 2017, this little game known as Super Mario Odyssey released for the Nintendo Switch. You might be able to see where I'm going with this if you've played this game before. The world map, when selecting which kingdom to go to, looks suspiciously like a certain planet. It's a blue and a green oblate spheroid with continents. That sounds awfully familiar. I wonder what happens if we get a glimpse of this from outer space. So let's head to the Moon Kingdom. Oh hey, there's the Earth, and there's the light from the sun hitting it. I can see the parallel clear as day. This is supposed to be a replica of Earth, so not only could Vancouver be present on this planet, but similarly, it should be subjected to similar radiation that we see on Earth given the presence of the aurora. So how exactly do Mario and company survive in space? This, unfortunately, does not have a clear answer. The rules for Mario even being allowed to exist in space aren't always consistent. For example, most Mario games run with the logic that they all can breathe in space. But then comes along a game like Super Paper Mario where a big roadblock that prevents the player from immediately starting the fourth chapter is that Mario can't breathe in outer space and needs a helmet. Talk about inconsistent even within the Paper Mario universe itself. Yikes! Outside of Super Paper Mario, the only hint we even see of protective gear is in Mario Odyssey, where Mario can wear a spacesuit as a costume, but it doesn't change anything for him. Yet, if radiation works the same way that it does here on Earth, given that we're dealing with Earth, or at least a replica of it, then how exactly does it work that Mario and company don't immediately lose a life upon entering outer space? Well, you know what they say. There's only one explanation I can think of, and it's a classic that I use when logic isn't working in games. Nintendo logic. There's really no other way to explain this, because for all intents and purposes, there is absolutely no way that Mario or any of his companions should be able to survive in space if they're built similarly to us. Seriously, what are these characters made of? Whatever it is, I'd like some of it so I too could survive in space. It would be so cool! Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one, which is hopefully less complicated than this one. Have a good one.